on, guys? I'm glad you're here. And if you are here, most likely you're here to find out how to make meal prepping easier. This is one of the biggest struggles for my clients and the members of my Vibe program. Meal prep can be daunting, it can be time consuming, and it can be unmotivating at times, the thinking about putting in the work. But that's the first mistake, is thinking about it as that, as a job, or as it being something that we have to do, that we're forced to do. That always, with anything, whether it's exercise, healthy eating, having that mindset first is the thing that's going to stop you from doing it. So you have to change your thought process around meal prep and understand that it's part of the process to actually create sensual eating. And we forget that because we are now in a convenience culture, that part of the meal experience is actually making food, creating food, and sitting down and enjoying a meal. And that actually stimulates digestion, believe it or not. So it's just changing how you feel about meal prep. Now, I'm a firm believer as well. You will see a ton of videos and a ton of posts with people saying, this is how you should meal prep, and this is the best way to meal prep. As far as I'm concerned, the best way to meal prep is the right way for you, right? You have to take into consideration your lifestyle, your hours, what your life is like in general, and what fits into that. We shouldn't have to change everything we're doing to create this process, because when you do that, it creates a feeling of extreme displeasure, right? So you have to slowly transition into these habits in order to create something special for yourself. So find what works for you. So I've tried those preps where you cook all your food on a Sunday, spend hours putting them all in the individual containers, and you have all your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your snacks, they're all ready to go for the week. To me, I don't have time for that. I'm a busy business owner. I'm kind of a one-woman show, so it's not easy for me to even take a day off right now. So that being said, spending 4 hours on a Sunday prepping is actually very displeasurable to me, and I just don't have the time to do it. So I found a way, a system that works for me, and I want you to find your system. So I'm going to first share a few different systems and different scenarios based on typical lifestyles. So for me, I'm busy. I'm always on the go. I don't have a day off, like I mentioned. So what I do is I choose a couple days during the week where I prep some food. Now, I bulk prep my food. I put everything in containers, put it in the fridge, and then the night before I prep my meals. I'm also a very intuitive eater, so what I want to eat may change daily. And that could just be combinations of foods, you know, maybe something that I would eat for lunch, I want for dinner, or, you know, there could be different scenarios there, but I'm really intuitive eater, so I like to listen to my body and eat what I want to eat. Now, typically what's in my fridge I'm going to eat, but like I said, the different combinations, things, how I spice it up, and I might add some more spices, add some more herbs. I like to do it as I go. So the night before, I take 10 minutes, I prep my meals for the next day so I'm ready to go, and it actually gets me away from the TV and my telephone and all that stuff too, so that's a great way to end your evening. Now that is great for people who don't want to put in 4 hours on a Sunday, and it's also understanding that we can't be so rigid in our scheduling when it comes to food prep. You can't always do it on a Sunday or a Wednesday. I'm pretty sure no one's life is like that. So be a little bit more flexible. If you know that Sunday is going to be busy for you, you have an event, you have a family, whatever it might be, then do it on a Saturday. Do it on a Friday. Same goes through the week. If you can't do a Wednesday, do a Thursday. But just find what works for you and really honor that. Be flexible in your thinking and your scheduling. It's when we become really rigid in our thought process and what we do that it throws us off when something goes sideways, right? So just be a little bit flexible in your thinking and understand that an obstacle is something that you are able to get around, and you just have to refocus, right? Another scenario for prepping is what I mentioned also, where you take your Sundays are your day, you cook all your food, you put it all in little containers, you do your thing. Now, that's great for those who like that structure and like to get it all done and don't have to worry about it. Great way to do it. If that's for you, that's for you. Then there's the busy families where it's really tough. You work full time, you have kids, they have activities after school. The only time you can spend time with your kids is on a Saturday and Sunday, and it's hard to get all that prep in. So using crock pots and doing meals that way, or Instapot, is a great way to get healthy, quick meals in. You can freeze them for yourself for lunch the next day. Involve your kids in your prep so that it's a family activity and gets them, you get to spend time with them, you teach them about healthy eating, and it allows you to get done what you need to get done. I know one thing that my grandmother used to do, and I'll never forget this, is when she would be cooking her dinners, because we spent almost every day there as kids, she would give us something to make that was safe and friendly, that way, kid friendly, but she would get us in the kitchen. So and now when I think about prepping food and I think about cooking a meal, I always go to that because it was a really great feeling. And if you attach yourself to good feelings around that, you're more likely to follow through. So once you decide what kind of meal prepper you are and you find your rhythm and your flow, then there's some other small little tips that I think is really helpful, because I know as a busy person, if I don't have things available to me, there's a good chance I'm going to go sideways with my eating. I get busy, I get doing things, and when I do check in with myself and realize I'm hungry, sometimes I don't want to be putting a ton of time into, at that moment, prepping a snack or a meal. So I really like to make sure I have healthy options in the fridge, especially for snacking. So that's really important. But the first thing you need to do before you even prep or before you even do anything is clear the clutter out of your kitchen. So important. Get rid of all the old stuff that you have in your cupboards and your fridge, things that you haven't used in a while. You know, things, if you're trying to make healthier choices, swap out those things that have been in there forever that you're not going to use again and probably shouldn't be using again, and restock it with some healthy items. But also just reorganizing your cupboard so things that you need to use to prep your food are easier to get at. Have you ever been in a kitchen where it's just a mess and you just like you don't even want to do it because there's so much going on? It's like, you know, you have to not only prep but clean your kitchen before. So always keeping up on top of that is really important. Having things ready to use so that you can reach in and get it without having to scrounge through your cupboards. One of the biggest things is spices and herbs. I don't know how many cupboards I've opened, doesn't matter what household I'm in, whether it's mine or somebody else's, you open up where there's spices and herbs are, and it is just a cluster mess of stuff. You don't even know where to start, and I know my personality, I'm not going in there. So then you tend not to, you know, make meals that are actually all that tasty because you're sticking to the same thing all the time. You have salt and pepper, it's right there. Maybe some garlic powder, things that are always there. But we need to add those varieties. Plus, herbs and spices have a ton of micronutrients in it. You should be packing your meals full of those herbs and spices. It's super important. So here's something that I have that has been so helpful to me and how it's made my meal prep so much easier because my herbs and spices are more accessible. Also, getting rid of a ton of utensils that you don't use. You know, things add up. You know, might be out, see something, grab it, we come home, we have 4 of them. You know, when I cleared the clutter out of my kitchen, I had 5 can openers. How did I end up with 5 can openers? That's just crazy, right? All the appliances, I mean, how many things do you have that you don't use? Give it to charity, do something positive with it, but if you're not using it, get rid of it. Make room for things that you actually are going to use, and make room so that you can get in and get at the things that you need. So clear the clutter first thing. Next thing is, you know, we all want to eat very balanced and in harmony. We don't want to have to cut out foods. We don't want to have to, because that's what creates this craziness when it comes to healthy eating. I'm all about the balance and the harmony. So make something that's a healthier version of your favorite sweetness, whatever that might be. And now that doesn't mean you cut out everything that's great about it, but think quality. What are you making that sweetness out of? Is it just garbage table sugar? Is it garbage peanut butter? Is it garbage oats? Like, you have to really think about the quality and the source, and that will change what's going on in that sweetness for you. Plus, making it changes how you feel about it too, right? You know where it's coming from, you know the source. Divide everything up into small little serving sizes that you can reach and grab and have it if you want. So you know it's there, you know you're able to have it. That getting rid of that restriction is super important, and I find that stops you from nibbling on stuff, knowing that it's there, you can have it, it's for you, it's good quality, boom, you're ready to go. Cutting up vegetables and putting them in jars and water and having those readily available. It's great for your kids too. Make a really healthy dip out of Greek yogurt or avocado. Have those in little mini containers so that you can grab and run. And I think that is a great way to get in the crunchiness. But if you're somebody that really likes those crunchy, you like your potato chips, you like those kind of things, go opt for healthier versions. So if you're a potato chip person, you don't necessarily have to cut out potato chips, but make sure you go and buy a brand that is good source. It's a good source, organic. They're using avocado oil or coconut oil. There's lots of options now, but when you get it home, take them and put them into baggies in little serving sizes that is in the cupboard, and you grab it and that's what you have. It's very easy to sit down and just stick your hand in a bag and keep going, but just think of that little serving size as something you have there, that's your snack. You don't have to restrict yourself from those potato chips if you love them. And there's other options like Bonitos, there's, you know, bean-based, like gluten-free. You have to watch out, some potato chips do have gluten in them. There's all sorts of little push and pulls there. So, but just taking your favorite snacks and putting them into little individual baggies is key. Just remember quality and source. So these are just some really helpful meal prep tips that I have and that is really important to me. I know the big difference for me is that making sure my kitchen is free of clutter so that it inspires me to do something, making sure that all my stuff is organized in my cupboard so it's easily accessible. And that just really cuts down on time, it cuts down on the anxiousness around it, and makes you want to do it. So the key to meal prep is really your thought process around it and how well you've set yourself up, finding what works with you and going with that. It's really, really important. Also, following a plan that gives you recipes and has everything laid out for you is also really great, because it not only gives you options on different ways to eat your meals and different types of meals, but it just it takes away a little bit of the work for you, right? Until you start getting into the flow again. This is what's so great about my Vibe program, because I do offer meal plans with meals that give recipes, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and it changes as you go, and it allows you for substitution, it allows you vegan options, it gives you everything you need to help get through the process and start learning and finding your own flow. And I think that's really, really important when you're switching into healthy eating, is understanding that there is harmony and balance in that. It's not just about eating vegetables, salads, and protein. There is options for you to live healthy and still get the body you want, and that's super important. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope that you can go kill your meal prep this week and enjoy the labors of that next week.